taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Justin. That's Franco. The Boston Celtics drop another Summer League game, 103-98. This is Celtics Postgame Live. Franco, the Celtics go 0-2. There is a lot to talk about in this game. Certainly, losing is not something you want to do, and not justifying that. But at the same time, this is Summer League. This is time to see improvements. This is time to see people get opportunities. And tonight we saw that. But let's start off with the big one. J.D. Davison, before this game, signed a two-way contract deal to stay in Boston next year, so he will be with the team next year. But the downside to that, 10 turnovers tonight, 7 of those in the first half.
Yeah, it's something that we can definitely look at as a negative. He had 9 assists to go along with that to kind of even that out. There are some nights that you'll just have those off nights as a point guard. The ball isn't going to the playmakers the way you want it to. And the defense for Washington seemed like they were doing a really good, strong job with Coulibaly and their young guards. Who is the other one? Rollins. And Davis had a big game as well. They were really locking down the front court, and Jay Scrub, but no one really could take over the game offensively for the Celtics, which is something we were looking for. Jordan Walsh looked to do that as well, and he struggled from the field and showed a little bit of that inconsistency that people talked about prior to the draft, but he is not meant to be an on-ball scorer. He is more of an off-ball. You pass him as the third option on that cut or that open three in the corner, and he is going to make it.
Right. I feel as if, first of all, game one last night, you got to give props where props is due. Walsh, 18 points, 4 of 6 shooting from deep, started off 4 of 4. You kind of figured he would come back down to earth. I will say, though, he shot 1 of 6 from 3 tonight. He hit a big shot late in the game. But at the same time, this now in the Summer League is that time to work on the shot and to get these reps. He's not going to be taking 6, 7, 8 3-pointers a game come regular season. He's going to be lucky to take 6, 7, 8 shots in the regular season. So it's really important that he does get the reps up, and I love how he's shooting with confidence. And I think we've seen a lot in his game tonight. Tonight was one of those nights where you are going to look for him to produce other than scoring. Scoring right off the bat is one of his weak points in his game, his shooting, his consistency. That's one of his weak points. So tonight, 12 points. He was able to get 2 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. A couple of flashy passes in there too, Franco. So how relieving is it that even though he had a rough shooting night, he can contribute in so many other different ways? How important is that for this team?
For a wing, that is all you need to get a contract in the NBA. If you can contribute in other ways, you don't have to be that dominant scorer, come in and give us 10 points. He did give us 12 tonight, and that's a good night from the floor, especially in 27 minutes. But if he can affect the game and be that hustle player, there were a couple times that he would get that and one and look up and scream into the rafters. Right. We need that type of energy after losing Smart, after losing Grant. That is something huge we love to see. And with Paul Pierce in the building, which was big to see, I hope NBCSN gets him in with a contract on.
Right. That'd be
because he's just around the team enough to do it. So
I feel as if that just gives players, especially like Walsh, the ultra confidence, right? Game one last night, who was in the crowd? It was Jason Tatum sitting there courtside. Tonight, sitting there courtside, Paul Pierce. Like, that has to give these guys some ultra confidence and that kind of extra boost. But you know who had that extra boost tonight? It was Justin Champagnie. Champagnie, who has a spot on the roster, but it's a non-guaranteed deal. So at the same time, he still has to earn his way back onto the roster. Last night, had a little bit of a rough night, but tonight he bounced back. Justin Champagnie, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, flirting with a triple-double on 8 of 17 shooting. What did you like from Justin Champagnie tonight?
He's a very silent player. When he's on the court, he's almost unnoticeable when he gets these rebounds because he's a smaller guard / forward who's getting inside the paint and getting these second chance points and sneaking away, and he's getting these open looks. He's doing exactly what he was brought onto the roster last year to do for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's really important because I don't think that. Remember last night how I mentioned, like, okay, like I get it, it's not the regular season, but I want to see how these players bounce back on a second night of a back-to-back coming off a loss. This is the type of thing I was looking for, and Champagnie is one of the guys that we have mentioned throughout since the beginning of Summer League that we, going to look at this guy, take a serious look to see if he can make the final roster spot. Kind of made his case tonight. I know we still have 2, maybe 3 Summer League games left, Franco, but he certainly kind of etched his way into that position tonight.
Definitely. And the list of players has kind of been narrowed down on that last open spot. Champagnie, Scrub, Azubuike, and we'll get into them more. Champagnie, what he's going to offer to this team and what his attraction is going to be the all-around game he brings. He's a 2-3 that will be able to pass in around the ball and be able to fill in and do those small things that you need to get done and gets the job done on the court.
I think when you look at what Justin Champagnie was able to do tonight, I think he's a little wild around the rim. A lot of his rebounds were coming off of misses, probably his own misses. But at the same time, that's the type of player you want. You want that scrappy player. You want that player. Kind of like reminds me of like when Peyton Pritchard gets in the game and out of nowhere he comes in for that offensive rebound. That was what Champagnie did a lot tonight. But just really relieving to see another guy. And you and I are very, very high on this kid. He's another wing player. It's Jay Scrub. Jay Scrub, one of the players on this team with the most NBA experience, I think we could say, being with the Clippers and the Orlando Magic. 15 points, 2 rebounds, a block, a steal. This guy was everywhere, 6 of 12 shooting. This guy's just a freak athlete. We talked about him last night. He was one of our 3 key players of the game. He's back in it tonight. What did you like from Jay Scrub?
This guy is just a bucket. He is going to get the ball in the net. He is that spark plug that we are rolling with off the bench. I think his assumed role for the Celtics Summer League roster is that 6th man, and he is doing a great job of coming in. He's coming in next to Davison, being that second option off that pass and making his own shots. He's very athletic on the drive, and he's gotten a few steals, got a block tonight, and very active on the defensive side. A lot of shot contests.
Yeah, I think when you look at a guy like Jay Scrub, he's another one of those gritty players, and he's not going to give up. He is one of those players that can consistently turn defense into offense, right? Like produce very good offense from very good defense. And I think that's what this team lacks, because usually in the playoffs, especially, the Celtics let their offense dictate their defense, and that really hurt them. So to come in and see that there's a guy on this Summer League team who does not let their offense dictate their defense, he actually lets his defense dictate the offense. He loves to get out and transition. He creates opportunities. Really incredible at attacking downhill using his body. I believe he's 6'7", getting to the rim, uses that body to perfection. 15 points again tonight. Another guy who I think, honestly, besides maybe Walsh, he might be one of our favorite players on the Summer League roster. It's Udoka Azubuike. He comes from the Utah Jazz. He did not, I believe, signed a deal in 2020. Utah didn't pick up his 4th-year option. Tonight for the Celtics, he gets a double-double off the bench. 14 points, 10 rebounds, a block on a perfect 7 of 7 shooting. These are Robert Williams numbers on a very, very solid night. Franco, remember game one last night? We kind of questioned Udoka in the first half, and then he comes out in the second half and puts together a very solid performance. He does that yet again here tonight on a second night of a back-to-back.
I'm pretty sure since that first half, he is 11 for 11 from the field. Because I remember last night he finished 4 for 4 in the second half. So he has really found his place, and he is the stereotypical back to the basket scoring center that the league has died away from, and I have no idea why, because it's such a powerful position and it can be taken advantage of. And you watch that, like, even in the series against the Miami Heat last year, Cody Zeller coming off the bench was giving us an issue in the paint just because he's 6'11". That height and that weight means something in this game, and it brings a different level of physicality. I was watching him down low in the boxes, and he knows how to set screens. He's calling his own screens for J.D. Davison and setting him up to make plays. So it seems like he has a high IQ. There were a couple plays down low that he dropped the passes. Some may have not been his fault, which may have been what accounted to JD's high turnover rate. But other than those rough things, and he also, I noticed he was jumping a lot earlier in the paint. There were a lot of backdoor passes that went right behind him to the guy he was guarding when he slid. But those are all small fundamental things that I learned how to change in high school. So he is going to develop over time, and he would be a key part of that big man rotation during the regular season for the Celtics.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you said. I think a lot of his flaws in the game that we've seen thus far are very fixable things. I think that's why a player like him is in the summer league, even though he was, he's been in the league since 2020. I think it's just very important to kind of, when you look at the roster construction of the Boston Celtics right now for the regular season, I know it's only the first week and a half of July, but you see Horford, you see Porzingis, you see Brissett, you see Tatum, and even throw in Blake Griffin. They can all stretch the floor. They can all shoot. They all space the floor up very well. Azubuike is one of those guys who can come in, and he could be kind of like that Robert Williams, but maybe even a little bit more dominant on the bench, a bigger body. We mentioned Robert Williams is phenomenal when he's healthy, but at the same time, he's playing a very, very small center, and that's very evident. So I think you go Azubuike over Alexander, who's a starter. I forget how you say his last name, Balawarski. I don't want to butcher it, but I think I'm on the right track. But he can shoot. Balzarowski. So he can stretch the floor. He can shoot, which is great. But we mentioned this earlier. We have that. We have plenty of that. We have plenty of guys who can stretch the floor and space it and shoot it. Azubuike gives you that, like you said, that old style, that OG type of back you down in the post and get the rebound over you and put the putback dunk, So I think that Boston takes a serious look, and they still have a two-way contract. So even if they want to develop him in Maine and keep him on the Celtics roster, they have that ability to do so.
And with the loss of Cavangeli as well this offseason, you need that in the developmental. The developmental farm, I like to call it. I'm a Red Sox fan as well. You need people young developing in Maine that that you can call it when that time comes, and you have those backup plans as he develops. And he could be a future 4-5 years from now, he could be a rotational player in the NBA.
I think you look at Azubuike, and I think he clears Luke Cornett. I think Luke Cornett is first of all, I'm a big fan of Luke, just a great locker guy, just very genuine. And he played his role very well. I have to give him credit. Better than I think most thought he would in the first half of the season when Rob was out and Al was in and out of the lineup. But I think Azubuike just gives you a whole new aspect to the game. And I think Boston should seriously consider bringing him on, at least giving him a training camp deal and letting him go to work in October when preseason comes around and really give him a shot at the real roster. But tonight, the Celtics do drop this game to the Washington Wizards. If you're just tuning in, 103-98. This is Boston's second straight loss of the Summer League. We're about halfway through. Celtics are scheduled for 4 games, but they're thinking it's going to be 5 games because whatever happens with the tournament or the championship game, there will be a consolation game in there. So Boston still 3 games left to be played. Wednesday night against the Los Angeles Lakers is your next game. That game tipping off around 10 p.m. Feeling like a little West Coast trip. Hey, I want to ask you, you're a Red Sox guy. Do you see who they drafted with their pick, Kyle Teal, a catcher? Did you catch that this afternoon?
Yeah, he's a Veritek-esque type player. I heard about him a little bit. Big pop in the bat, and from what I've heard, he's a dog, like just a loud guy, what you need from a catcher. So excited to see him, and that's one of their positions of need.
Yeah, catch, yes, 110%.
Yeah, Wong's Wong, you know.
He's streaky. I feel like Connor Wong is really streaky.
Yeah, I don't think you're betting for him to carry you on for the next couple of years. I think he's just a fill-in.
I think it was a very solid draft pick by the Red Sox, but let's get back on topic. I just wanted to bring it up because Red Sox had a first-round draft pick tonight. I believe it was 14th. So they drafted a Yankees fan. I don't know what that's about, but they drafted Kyle Teal, who grew up a big Yankee fan. But the Celtics are back in action, as I mentioned, Wednesday night against the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers have a lot of young, really solid talent. They got Max Christie. They have Scottie Pippen Jr. on that team. They have Shelfino on that team. Very fun team coming up here on Wednesday night. What are you most excited about?
Just seeing that team come together, and hopefully we get to see more of this talent because we have only unlocked 3/4 of this roster to seen on the court for the Celtics. We're missing out on Reggie Cousinal, who people may not know from Maine, stretch big, who will rotate in minutes with Azubuike. I'm happy Azubuike and Olek are getting the minutes, but it's always good to see extra faces, and we don't know with any of these guys. We need a taste. This is the time to get a taste of everyone. Right. Kamar Baldwin, he was a 20-point scorer for Maine last year. Starting point guard. He's someone that I would love to see more of. Vincent Valerio Bodon, stretch big from Italy or Spain, I believe. Very versatile player. Haven't seen him yet. And also the big one that everyone has been waiting for, you and I have been waiting for, is Delano Banton, who is the 6'7" point guard from Toronto. And
apparently he's got a finger injury, but I mean, we kind of been left in the dark with him. Like, we haven't heard anything. We've seen a couple tweets suggesting it's a finger injury, but I mean, really, we haven't seen anything. I was surprised he didn't play tonight. I figured he'd get the night off yesterday and then play tonight, or play yesterday and get tonight off. He didn't play in either game, Franco.
I think they'll probably be going for more of a push these next 2 games, because this is more when they were trying to figure out who they were going to be seeing on the court. And what I'm expecting is they want to make a push for this tournament championship at least. So they need a win against LA or New York. They don't want to end this summer league without a win. For sure. They are going to bring in these guys, and they're going to put in the talent that works. They have a 3-day hiatus until their next game. So they have 1 or 2 days to rest up, get healthy. They can run a practice or two in Vegas while they're down there. I think we're going to be seeing the team much more well-rounded going into LA, and it's going to be a much more competitive team.
I think this also gives Jordan Walsh a good chance to rest up as well. We saw him bang his knee and then twist his ankle in a couple plays to open up the game tonight in the first half. So that's also really good to see that kind of separation in the schedule a little bit. Like, we get it. Nobody really wants to see load management in the summer league. I understand that, but at the same time, my biggest fear in this summer league was seeing Jordan Walsh get hurt, specifically Jordan Walsh. And then when I saw him grab his knee, it was very fortunate. It was just a knee-to-knee contact, because the way I saw him grab his knee, I thought the worst. Usually when players, they hurt their ACL or their MCL, they usually grab and they clinch onto their knee. That's kind of how Walsh handled his knee, and that kind of scared me. Didn't sit well with me. And then he also twisted his ankle. So, that gives everybody a few days to rest up, and then Boston will be on the big stage, ESPN, against the Lakers at the Thomas and Mack Center, which out of the two arenas is the biggest arena and definitely draws a bigger crowd. So I'm really excited for this game. Look, don't care if it's Summer League. Celtics, Lakers, they're always entertaining. We get to see the Celtics future versus the Lakers future. This is a big game. I hope they treat that as a big game as well. But anything else that you kind of want to mention that I maybe didn't get to, whether it's about this game or this upcoming game?
I don't think so. It's really starting to form out who the Celtics are starting to favor in their pursuit, and it's kind of a pick your poison type of situation with Brad.
Right.
They have, from what we're assuming, 3 solid routes they can go with that 13th man. And it all depends on what their plan is. If they're planning on using Grant's TP this year, or just sitting on it until the trade deadline, or if they're going to go build and try to get another free agent, another center, because there are 3 complaints on the bench. People say the Celtics need a point guard. They said that on air tonight. And some people say, no, the Celtics need depth wings. And then some people say the Celtics need a big man.
Right.
I don't know what – I guess we need everything. At the same time, we don't need anything at all. So
right, I think it's everybody. First of all, let's face it. Everybody thinks you're a GM. Everybody thinks that position. They could sit in that position. But I want to ask you this. We're about to go into day 3 in Vegas. Jaylen Brown hasn't signed an extension yet. Does that concern you a little bit? There have been reports. Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe has reported that if there is no deal by the end of Summer League, there may be cause for concern. Is there cause for concern, Franco?
Not just yet. I'm truly not concerned, and they are aware of the direction of what the team wants to do. Mm-hmm. And I feel as if all the dominoes are starting to fall into place. I think they'll have something done for sure before July ends and before the regular season begins and preseason and training camp.
Right.
But it's what they are trying to do is they have 2 max players that they are trying to get under contract. So I can understand the money number crunching that they are doing in that office right now, trying to see how they can make this roster last together and give Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum the chance to win those championships and make it worth that. So I really can understand where they're coming from, and I can also understand where Jaylen Brown's coming from. He earned that max contract, so they shouldn't be dilly-dallying around with the money that he deserves. But there's an argument both ways.
What is this? So essentially, and it's going to come down to this. First and foremost, Kristaps Porzingis took about a $17 million pay cut to be here. He originally the highest he could have been offered was $77 million. And Kristaps Porzingis accepted and agreed on the 2-year, $60 million contract. So that definitely saved Boston $17 million. But that also essentially probably saved them from keeping Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis together. That $17 million probably could have gone a long way. But Jaylen Brown signs this extension. You're more than likely almost guaranteed to, maybe not this season, but next season, have to move on from White or Malcolm Brogdon. Who out of the two? And I get it. A lot can change in a year. But right now, we're not sitting in this seat next year. We're sitting in the seat right now. Where should Boston go in the direction of that guard? If you had to pick between the two, who stays and who goes, Franco, where does that conversation kind of sit with you?
Derek White is much more of a, I can say, he is more reliable for you. He is going to show up more nights. Malcolm Brogdon, he has these injuries that are plaguing him. I think running the two of them this season is Boston's best option. Moving on and getting a new face, another point guard in here, I don't see how that's going to help out anymore because we've already tried a different point guard. I think, 5 times? I think we've went through 5 point guard eras, the IT point guard era, the Kyrie point guard era, the Kemba Walker point guard era, the Marcus Smart point guard era. We've seen it all. We've gotten
Carson Edwards.
Yeah.
I know. We really have. And honestly, if you want to throw Rondo in there, you can't throw Rondo in there because after Pierce and Garnett left, the Celtics tried it with Rondo. Just didn't work out like it did. I mean, so like that's the thing is and you can honestly throw in Malcolm Brogdon because there's a good chance he might be gone. And even if he's not gone, he's technically still another point guard that you added onto this team trying to make it work. I think it goes a long way. I think you sit here and you also have to look at Peyton Pritchard as an opportunity, kind of a loom for him now with Marcus Smart gone, potentially Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White gone. Like this seriously opens up a window for him. How will he take that opportunity, Franco, and kind of run with it?
Yeah.
Where's the Peyton Pritchard situation sitting at?
Yeah. So right now, I think what you had last season was an overflowing point guard minutes. And Smart, what really freed up like 10 guaranteed minutes that we will see Peyton Pritchard on the floor each night. He's not coming in if there is just a lead or they can sneak him in for a few minutes here and there. He is officially a part of the rotation now that Smart is gone. And that's going to be a key part for him, and he's either going to sink or swim in the rotation. And then you also have J.D. Davison going up into the role that Peyton Pritchard was in last year, coming in some nights, sitting on the bench the others. So I think it's really going to be kind of not a revolving door for these veteran point guards, but it's going to be a cycle, and Malcolm Brogdon is the more expensive contract, and I feel like Derek White is going to be more of a hometown stick around for you. But Malcolm Brogdon can find business elsewhere. I don't think he's going to get traded this offseason with the elbow injury concerns. So, or would it be smart for the Celtics to move on from him?
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I'm getting a lot of notification. Veteran point guard John Wall has held a private workout on Sunday.
Celtics were spotted there,
teams, including the Boston Celtics.
Celtics, Phoenix. So, it's fun. It's good to watch them. I'll always send someone to everything. Whenever there's a showcase of talent.
Would you do it? Would Boston do it? Would that? I don't know.
If he's sitting around and hypothetically the Celtics decide to move on from hence a Pritchard for, let's say, a Tate or another wing, then I would do it. But like I just said, that room is just enough. They are just below the water level with minutes.
Right.
You add John Wall in there, you're just overflowing the cup a little bit more.
Right. I mean, who knows? Like you said, though, it's always good to send guys out there, some scouts and some officials out there. I know Isaiah Thomas, former Celtic, not to get anybody excited, but he also held private workouts over this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Boston was there just to check in, just to see where he's at. But at the same time, Boston has a lot of roster moves to make, but they also have to pay attention here at the Summer League because although the Celtics are 0-2, Franco, they've had some standout performances. Celtics are back in action Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time against the Los Angeles Lakers. You can catch that game on ESPN, NBC Sports Boston locally, ESPN nationally. They'll be at the Thomas and Mack Center. That's a big stadium over there out in Vegas. They've been playing in the Cox Pavilion. They played their two Cox. They'll play their two Thomas and Max. I'm Justin Lowe. That's Franco. Franco, any closing remarks? Anything you have to say other than just get a damn win in Summer League?
We need to beat LA.
I know. Beat LA.
We need something. We need something positive to roll with. Maybe we might get it would be nice if we did the next post-game show and we could throw in a segment about a Jaylen Brown extension. But
I know. It'd also be nice to talk about Banton. Hopefully we're talking about Banton a few days from now. But for now, again, Celtics drop 103-98 to the Washington Wizards. Justin Champagnie led the way with 21-12. Udoka off the bench with 14-10. For now, I'm Justin. That's Franco. We'll catch you guys Wednesday night for Celtics Postgame Live.